Want me to?
Whoa there, Star Scout. What are you doing? You're not cutting the saw properly, and I'm inside your blood circle. If you slipped, you could cut me. That's not how you use a saw.
Whoa.
Do you have your Totin Chip? Didn't think so. Hand this over carefully and safely so no one gets hurt. As long as you go through the proper training, there will be no injuries following, and you can prevent people from getting hurt. Hey there guys, Matt Guzman here, back with another video, and today's going to be different because it's how to earn the Totin Chip award. And this is different because usually I would do a merit badge, but since this has been widely requested among my viewers, I'm going to do a video about it. So first things first, what does the Totin Chip mean? The Totin Chip is an award in Scouts BSA that shows a Scout understands and agrees to certain principles of using different tools with blades. Meaning that a Scout without the award may not handle tools with blades in Scouting activities or Scouting outings. So by earning the award, you'll have the ability to use these tools and knowing how to use them properly, especially when given an opportunity, you have the experience to do it correctly. And besides, if you're on a campout, who wouldn't want to use all this stuff to make kindling, to split logs, and to do all sorts of things because you have the experience to do so. So, it can be physically represented by a patch or a small paper card. Typically, you'd get both of them, but some people just have a card and that's it. I have both. And also, with this, a Scout has the right to carry and use Wood's tools, like a pocket knife or something like that. It's awarded when a Scout demonstrates the knowledge and proper handling, care, and use of the pocket knife, axe, and saw. Now, you can't carry an axe or a saw around you, but you can carry a pocket knife with you if you have this. One main thing to keep in mind on an outing, on a campout, when you're using sharp blades or tools such as these, you always use goggles, especially when dealing with an axe. Now, when you aren't putting these in use, you want to put the covers on, like so with the cover on the axe, to stay safe. So when can Scouts earn the award? Honestly, it varies based on troop regulations and what they and the SPL think. Personally, I think any Scout who earns the award is capable of handling the responsibility that comes with it. Some say you can't get it until your first class, or you can get it anytime as long as you can get the award. For me, since I like to, get multiple things done and be efficient, there is a tenderfoot requirement, 3D, and if you don't already know, I did a video about how to get the tenderfoot rank, so this ties into that. 3D says to demonstrate proper care, sharpening, and use of the knife, axe, and saw, and describe when each should be used. Now that is very similar to the Totin Chip. So, you can get multiple things done if you're working on top of each other. You can earn the award and part of Tenderfoot. So, jumping right into the first requirement. Read and understand Wood's tools use and safety rules from the Scouts BSA handbooks. There are many important rules that need to be understood before you even pick up anything as to prevent injuries, and you can show responsibility among the Scout. Before you try anything to do with sharp blades or something as dangerous as an axe, you need to understand not only how to deal with those different items, but also the safety rules behind them. Basic things like making sure no one's around you. See, the cameraman backs away to make sure he doesn't get hit, and to make sure the axe doesn't fly somewhere. And to make sure the axe doesn't fly, the handler will do it the correct way, with proper technique. So, there are many Wood's tools and safety rules. I'm just going to say a few that I think are the most important. Keep blades closed except when in use. Now, obviously that pertains to knives. You can't really close an axe, but you should always keep sharp blades closed with a cover or, with a pocket knife, you slide it into itself, anytime it's not in use. Cut away from yourself. If you're cutting towards yourself, you have a risk of missing whatever you're trying to cut and instead cutting yourself. That's never good. And I've done that before because sometimes I don't pay attention. And, sometimes you can't pay attention. Even if you're so sure you're going to cut something, you can always have a mishap and cut yourself. Keep knife sharp and clean. A sharp knife is actually safer and easier to control than a dull knife. If you think about it, a dull knife, it won't cut as easily, which means it's more likely to slip and cut something else instead. And the last thing, follow the blood circle to ensure no injury is brought upon yourself or to other people around you. Number 2, Demonstrate proper handling, care, and use of the pocket knife, axe, and saw. That sounds vaguely familiar to Tenderfoot Requirement 3D. Huh. So with a saw, of course, before you cut anything, you want to make sure you have goggles on. And I have gloves. Usually it's not required, but, extra safety so you don't get blisters on anything. So with the saw, whichever you're cutting, let's say I want to cut this area right here, you want to put it at that angle, because if you think about it, if you want to have a clean cut like this, you want to keep it horizontal, because that's what you want to do down here. You don't want to hold it like this, because then your hand gets on the saw bit. So you can either hold it with one hand, two hands, just variant it, which is more comfortable for you, to start cutting it. And don't angle it like that to where it's hard to cut. You want to keep it as straight as possible, and just start cutting like this, and put pressure on it to where it makes the smooth cut. What you don't want to do is just go back and forth like this, so that's not going to do anything. So you want to make sure you're cutting it properly, and that's how you use a saw. Stay safe.
I'll put it away.
Don't hold it like that. That's the wrong way to hold a saw. You hold the saw from the handle, like so. So, using an axe, this is probably when you want to use gloves so you don't get blisters on your hands. You always want to use two hands. When you're going to throw the axe to hit it, you don't just go from here. You don't. That's not how you use an axe. You need the momentum of it, grab it from the hilt, bring it up across your shoulder, and strike it down. When you're striking it down, move your hand sliding down to here, so by the time it does get down, the motion will bring it into a powerful blow, like so. I don't know if you saw, if it picked up in the camera, but a big giant chunk just flew off. That's also why you need to use goggles, because if things come flying at you, it can protect your eyes. So, goggles, stuff for your hands, and proper care of the axe. So this requires a hands-on experience. You need to actually do this stuff. I guess you could watch it, but in order to get the full experience, you need to actually do it, show the proper care, and demonstrate it to whoever is teaching you. When I taught this to my troop about a year ago, I brought out these twigs and sticks and logs, and we practiced cutting them and the different methods that you can use. I'm not going to go over the different methods because, I'm not going too in-depth into this, but I will say that learning these different methods on the care and use of these three different things, the knife, axe, and saw, is very important, and you need to understand them before using it. Scouts must show that he or she can do the things from Requirement 1 before earning the Totin Chip. Star Scout, what are you doing?
I'm using the saw like you told me to.
See, the difference here is this is a pocket knife, which is different from the saw. The saw makes it so you can make large cuts. This won't do that. So, close it safely and pass it to me like the good Totin Chip rules in the Scout Handbook. There you go. So with a pocket knife, these are different because obviously it's smaller, and even though it is small, it can have a big impact on you if you do it wrong. Just like Star Scout here was doing, he passed it safely to me by closing it and hand it to me closed, just like the rules I went over in Requirement 2. So when using your pocket knife, you want to make sure there's no one around you as per the blood circle, and also make sure you're using the right tool for the job. Obviously, to cut this, you won't need to use a pocket knife. You need to use one of the bigger boys. Requirement number 3, it says, using the knife, axe, and saw, use them as tools, not playthings. Use them only when you are willing to give them your full attention. Like, let's say you want to be funny and carve something into a table. Like, sure, it might be funny, but is that really Scout appropriate to be carving something into a table? I mean, if it's under circumstances to where the Scoutmaster might say it's okay, since it's like your own table, I guess, but you need to be given your full attention because whatever you're using, it's not playthings or toys, they're tools. And I've had to stop many kids and scouts from cutting something they really shouldn't be, or like whipping out their knife because they think they look cool because like of safety reasons. Even though they may look cool, but other scouts might not have a cool experience when they get cut by them. So again, they are tools, not playthings. And you've been given proper training to use these items, so don't abuse whatever responsibility that you've been given, or that you've earned. Respect all safety rules to protect others. Number 4, very important. You want to make sure you don't harm yourself, harm others, because That's never ever good if you're trying to harm others. So respect all the safety rules. There's a lot of them, so to make sure you know them. Requirement number 5, respect property. If you're out on an outing or an activity, camp out, you cut living and dead trees only with permission and with good reason. Depending on where the outing takes place, most campsites require actual wood logs to be brought. They really don't want you. Again, it depends, but most campsites don't want you going around the campsite and like cutting stuff down from trees. Um, and some prohibit cutting wood from the property. It just depends on the regulations. So that means you also want to be a responsible scout and check the regulations beforehand. Requirement number 6, subscribe to the outdoor code, meaning you want to make sure that you're always maintaining the proper etiquette when you're outdoors, and one important factor is you always keep in mind leave no trace. It could be simple things like if you're whittling or if you're cutting a log, you don't want to leave all the wood chips around and like split ends of wood. Pick them up and dispose of them properly, either by putting them off to the side or like the active area, you want to move it away from there. So guys, thank you for watching my video. Wait a second, so I've been talking about experience and proper training, so why would the video stop here? What happens after someone gets the Totin Chit? I mean, surely that's it since they've already got the award, right? No, we are not done yet. Just because you got the award doesn't mean there's not more stuff to follow. Meaning, what happens after a scout is awarded? Well, it depends on what a scout does. With the Totin Chit, it certifies that the bearer has read the wood tools use and safety rules from the second class scout chapter of Boy Scout Handbook. And this last line is important. He knows that the ownership or use of wood tools means responsibility, and he accepts it in consideration of the above. He hereby granted Totin rights. Layman's terms, very simple. You have to be responsible, like a scout. You have to do good scout etiquette. Well, what happens if you don't do good scout etiquette? If you see someone goofing off, or you see someone constantly having their knife out when they're not supposed to? Well, a common rule is the corner rule. It's not official, but a scouting custom was that if a scout did not follow proper conduct, he would lose a corner and from the Totin Chip card. And when all 4 corners were off, the scout needed to re-earn the award. So that sounds kind of cool and all, but most troops don't do that. So what does Scouting BSA say about this? Well, there was an online post, and I've seen many online posts about this, but I think this one it's not official, but they did look something specific up. So this person checked with Bill Evans, and Bill Evans is the BSA subject matter expert on all awards and recognitions. And the guidelines of the Totin Chip say the scout's Totin rights can be taken from him if he fails in his responsibility. And this third paragraph, in other words, the BSA doesn't tell troops they must cut off the corners for Totin Chip violations, but it doesn't prohibit the practice either. So if your troop says you can't take the corners off, I mean, they're not correct. You can take the corners off, but it depends on the troop. If the troop says we're not allowing corners to be taken off, then that's their own rule. But it's not restricted. You still can. So this last paragraph, this is a decision for troop leaders, and recommend you getting your senior patrol leader in the decision as well. Take a discussion as a standard and enforce that standard. I was trying to enforce the standard of the 4 corners because I thought it was good in letting the scouts know you've messed up once, you have 3 more chances. If you just take the entire card away from them, then that kind of, this is my personal preference. So, what else can a scout earn? Well, to the right, I made a video a year ago about the Firem'n Chit and Lashings, and that's about how to earn the Firem'n Chit. And if not earned already, the Firem'n Chit is another award that's like the Totin Chip to be completed. Another thing, Firem'n Chit and Totin Chip. I'm not sure about the difference between the names, I just know that it is different. So, second class has a requirement in 2B saying use the tools listed in 10-foot requirement 3D. That was the one talking about the axe, knife, and saw. You need to prepare tinder, kindling, and fuel wood for a cooking fire. Now, I went over all those instructions already in another video talking about cooking for second class. I'll link that in the description below, along with my Fireman Chit video. But again, working efficiently to complete multiple requirements is always a good thing, especially if you're keeping in mind what you can get done by completing this one thing. So getting the Totin Chip done, you can get a 10-foot requirement 3D and second class requirement 2B, and many others as long as you're putting in the effort to do it. So the scout can earn multiple things, not just the award, he can earn requirements. So, one last thing before the video ends, patch placement. It varies since it's referred to as a temporary patch. Some say you can put it on the right pocket, but most troops, I don't see that enforced. Most scouts put it on their merit badge sash, and some scouts, like me, keep it safely stored in like a folder or something, or somewhere they can find it. It just depends on the variety of your troop, how your troop does it. Ask around, ask your SPL. So what about the cards? Well, I keep mine inside this little pouch. I already took them out just because I can't do it with one hand, but I have my Firem'n Chit and my Totin Chip. And I keep them in this. I have them laminated because in case they get wet, they're still fine. And I keep them in this pouch. I store these in my right pocket of my uniform, and my main reason that if I'm doing something in like Lenoci or something where people aren't familiar with me, if an adult happens to ask me, hey, do you have your Totin Chip or Fireman Chip? I can say, yeah, I do, and actually show them. So that's the main reason why I keep it on my uniform, and you know, I think it's good to have it on me at all times anyway. So I keep my cards in my uniform, and I keep my patches inside a folder, so I always know where everything is. And with that in mind, hopefully you have gained something from this video. Thank you for watching How to Earn the Totin Chip. I really hope this was helpful in earning this. And if you enjoyed the video, please like it, turn on notifications on my channel, and I will see you all in the next one. Goodbye.